In the United States, police don't act in the public's interest. They primarily serve the state and their own interests. This assertion is substantiated with each new instance of police brutality and state-sanctioned violence that surfaces. Join us as we unveil the bizarre deposition of two detectives and find out how they, without any knowledge of the law, arrested someone based on vibes. Sergeant Jennifer Larson and Lieutenant Donald Milazzo arrested Amanda Jane Bergquist for recording a video of a courthouse. However, this is not illegal, which makes it a gross violation of First Amendment rights.
Hey ma'am, you know this is a public building?
Exactly, that's why I'm recording it.
It's also a court facility?
Yep.
Which there is a judicial law or judicial order that says that you cannot tape this building.
Can I see that order?
Yes, come on in. We're going to check your IDs too.
Oh, no, I'm not going in.
Oh yeah, no. We're going to run you too.
No, that's all
We're
right.
going to get your name. We're going to do a report and everything. So come on in.
No.
No, yeah, you're going to come in now.
Am I being detained?
Yes.
For what?
Because right now you are doing something suspicious.
That's not a reason to detain anybody.
Well, it is for Dana. Come on.
It's really not.
Let's go
so
inside
I'm just going
now.
to stay here and continue recording.
Okay. You're going to come in and we're going to find out who you are and what you're doing here.
No, you're not.
Okay. All right, who's got cuffs? She does not want to go agreeably.
Lieutenant Milazzo approaches Amanda outside the courthouse, claiming she is not allowed to film a public building. Amanda, however, is very aware of her rights, which is why she decided not to show her ID to Lieutenant Milazzo when he asked. She was not doing anything illegal anyway. Milazzo therefore decides to detain her. However, Milazzo's actions are illegal, as it's generally legal to film public places. When Amanda questions the detention and states the First Amendment, Milazzo proceeds to aggressively grab Amanda's camera after he notices he was being recorded, leading to her detainment. Amanda asks Milazzo whether he is aware of the Fourth Amendment, but Milazzo decides to laugh in her face. He says, "Oh great, why do we always get the crazies to Sergeant Larson?" But what they don't realize is that what they are doing is illegal.
Well, it's already on.
Are you familiar with the Fourth Amendment?
Oh, great. Why do we always get the crazies?
I don't know.
Then, Amanda realizes that Milazzo is doing something shady with her camera.
Did you delete my footage?
Do you want to cooperate or not?
I'm remaining silent.
Amanda decides to evoke her right to remain silent, but then Milazzo comes with a threat.
Okay.
It is only making it worse. Do you want to give us an ID?
Silent. I'm remaining silent. I don't consent to searches.
This is your choice. You can either give us an ID so that we could do a report on this and find out who you are, or we're going to take you in front of the presiding judge. He's going to hold you in contempt, which means that he can hold you for as long as he wants.
I'm remaining silent.
Okay, let's do it.
Yes.
We're going to probably take her in front of the judge.
Okay.
He's going to hold her in contempt for, I think right now he's doing 90 days.
Okay.
So, is that okay with you?
Remaining silent.
Okay, but you realize you're going to go to Cook County Jail for 90 days.
Remaining silent.
Okay?
Okay.
Now you have an option. All you have to do is show us an ID so that we can do a report, and we'll let you go on your way.
I have an option?
Yeah.
We told you that before.
Because right now you're just obstructing and you're in contempt.
Obstructing what?
You're obstructing us from doing our job.
I'm remaining silent.
All right, cuff her. Let's get her purse.
Ken.
Get her stuff.
I don't consent to searches.
Well, we don't care anymore. Okay?
Amanda was handcuffed and arrested for obstruction, though she was later released without any charges. The officers, unknowingly to them, conducted illegal acts, including unlawful detainment, intimidation, an illegal arrest, dereliction of duty, and unlawful search and destruction of private property. Following these events, Amanda enlisted one of the nation's top lawyers and sued Cook County for numerous civil rights violations. The case has been going on for several years now, but over the past few months, the unseen footage of the deposition of both officers has come forward.
Is it against the law to take pictures of a courthouse from outside?
No, not that I know.
Okay. Is it lawful to arrest somebody for taking pictures outside of a courthouse, of the courthouse?
No, not that I know.
Okay. Is there something
Keep your voice up, please.
Okay, sorry.
So I gotta get every word because it's on video.
Okay.
Are you familiar with this case at all?
Which case?
The case that brings us here today, that you're testifying in?
Yes.
Okay, and in a nutshell, what's the case about?
I would say that Amanda is, I guess I called you to say that she was outside videoing when she shouldn't have been. So she's saying we violated her amendment rights.
You're correct. When you say when she shouldn't have been, what does that mean? Was she doing something wrong?
Just something unusual, what us as officers would consider unusual.
Unusual, okay. Depending on where you are in the country, Mormons are unusual, right? Depending on where you are, it might be unusual to see a Mormon. Do you get to detain Mormons in those places?
I don't know. People detain Mormons.
You don't have to speak.
I don't know if they detain Mormons.
Would it be lawful? Just because it's unusual?
No, I don't.
Okay. Is there something unlawful about recording outside of a building?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Let me ask you this. Was Miss doing anything illegal when she was detained?
No, I would say it was not illegal, unusual.
In order to detain somebody, what do you have to have legally? Do you know?
I do not know the law legally.
You can see how Sergeant Larson is oblivious to the laws involved in the case. It is strange how a police officer doesn't know the basic laws. Now let's see what Lieutenant Milazzo has to say.
What would you do if one of those people said to you, what's the difference between arrest and detain? What would your answer be?
We'd call legal.
Mr. Gorman, seated to your left?
No. Sheriff has their own legal.
Oh, okay. Their own legal who helps them understand things like the difference between arrest and detain?
Yes.
Gotcha. Was there a lawful basis to handcuff her?
Yes.
Okay, and what was that lawful basis?
Officer safety.
Lieutenant Milazzo's admission reveals a significant gap in his understanding, as he's unable to distinguish between an arrest and detainment. He even suggests calling the office's lawyer for assistance, raising questions about his 27 years of police experience.
Did you have any reasonable suspicion that she was committing a crime?
We had reasonable suspicion to ask her what she was doing and why she was doing it, just to get who she was and why.
You and I agree on that you had the right to ask her whatever you wanted to ask her. Did you have the right to put her in handcuffs?
Officer safety.
For the security of the officers, yes.
Okay. What made her a threat?
Her refusing to give any information that was requested of her.
Was she legally obligated to give that information?
When an officer has asked her for security purposes to give her identity up, yes, we do have the right to ask for an identity of somebody for our safety.
In contrast, Sergeant Larson, with 20 years of service, appears to lack a solid grasp of the law, as seen when she expresses feeling unsafe unless she checks someone's ID.
You ever heard of something called a Terry search or a Terry frisk?
I have.
Okay, what is that?
I'm not going to say exactly. I don't know the law.
Okay. Police officer goes over to somebody on the street. Let's call the person Mr. Plaintiff.
Okay.
Police officer goes to Mr. Plaintiff and says, hey, let me see your ID. And Mr. Plaintiff says, no. Is the officer now allowed to put Mr. Plaintiff in handcuffs and detain him?
I object. It's a hypothetical. It calls for speculation.
Yeah.
You can answer.
Okay. I do believe, yes, for officer safety, they do have the right.
Doesn't there have to be reasonable suspicion that the person committed a criminal offense or violated a law?
I don't know the law exactly.
Interestingly, Larson seems more forthcoming, admitting her lack of legal expertise. But don't make up your mind against her yet, as her lieutenant is not brave enough to admit his mistake. He appears mysterious and indifferent to the lawyer's questions, even trying to make jokes about the situation.
If you could go back in time to the day that you arrested her, would you still arrest her?
So you're asking me if I can go back in time?
Yeah.
I don't know how I could do that.
Okay. Did you understand my question?
I did, and you're asking me to suppose whether or not I can go back in time. I can't.
So you can't tell me if you would still arrest her?
I can't tell you what would happen on that day if I went back in time, no.
Okay. Is this an attempt to be funny?
Not a bit.
Are you trying to answer my questions?
I'm trying to answer your question.
You really can't figure this out because you can't wrap your head around time travel.
I'm gonna object. Again, I mean, I'm going to object. It's getting to be harassing again. I mean, is this what the question is? Hypothetical time travel backwards?
Is that really how you interpreted the question also?
Is that what you're asking? If he could go back in time, would he do it differently? Is that not what you're asking?
Yeah, that is what I asked him. Is there any reasonable suspicion that she was committing a crime, yes or no?
We weren't sure what she was doing.
Okay, so if you don't know what somebody's doing, do you have reasonable suspicion that they're doing anything in particular?
No, but we have a reasonable response to ask what she was doing.
Right, agreed. You could ask her what she's doing. And when she refuses to answer, are you now allowed to detain her?
Yes.
Who told you this? That you get to detain people who are videoing and refuse to identify themselves when asked?
It doesn't get clearer than this. She has no answer for what she did with Amanda. She has not admitted that she did something wrong, but it's quite clear that she is caught.
No illegal search and seizure.
Right, unless there's
Probable cause.
or...
Okay. That's about all I know.
Okay, all right, good enough. You said that's about all I know. All right, now, there was somebody else who asked you the same question that I just asked you about your familiarity with the Fourth Amendment, who's in this room right now. Do you know who that person was? My client. This asked you that, didn't she?
I don't recall.
She asked you, are you familiar with the Fourth Amendment? You don't remember that?
No.
I tell you that your answer was, oh great, why do we always get the crazies? Would you dispute that?
No.
Does that sound like something you would say to somebody?
That's something I did say that day, yes.
So you remember saying that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember saying that in response to the question, are you familiar with the Fourth Amendment?
No, I just remember saying it.
Why is it that you felt she was one of the crazies?
When people act in a way that is not in their best interest.
How is she acting that was not in her best interest?
Well, at any time, all she had to do was identify herself. We could have done our report and everything could have gone the own.
And if somebody were to threaten you that unless you comply with their demands, they're going to put you in handcuffs, would you automatically necessarily comply with their demands?
Yes.
I'm going to object.
You would?
Calls for speculation.
He was able to answer. So you would. So even if there's somebody who is acting as a law enforcement officer, giving you an unlawful order, threatening you with detainment or arrest or 90 days jail, if you don't comply with their unlawful demands, you would still comply?
Yes.
Alrighty. Is that what you expected her to do, to comply?
Yes.
Law that requires people to identify themselves when requested by law enforcement?
I don't know.
So far, Milazzo is trying to manipulate the truth without realizing that everything was recorded on a camera. He does not admit to deleting the video on Amanda's camera at first, but then proves the lawyer's point about the deleted pictures. And not only this, but he also even involves a judge in the act.
Did you delete her pictures?
No.
Who did?
Don't know.
You don't know who deleted her pictures?
No.
By the time you got in front of Judge Peter Felice, they were deleted, weren't they?
As far as I know, they were still on there.
You grabbed her camera
Yes.
away from her outside, did you not?
Yes.
From that point until you were in front of Judge Peter Felice, did she ever hold her camera again?
No.
Okay, so you had it the entire time.
Yes.
Didn't Judge Peter Felice talk to you about whether the pictures had been deleted?
He asked for the memory thing so he could delete them.
You just said that he asked you for the memory card because he wanted to delete the pictures. Is that your testimony?
Yes.
Okay. And if he were to testify at some point in time that he absolutely, categorically did not delete those pictures, then would you want to change your answer as to whether you or one of your people did?
I'm going to object. Calls for speculation.
No one had custody of the camera but me.
Okay. Would it have been lawful for you to delete her pictures?
I don't know.
But what do you think? Are you allowed to go over to people's pictures and delete them?
No.
Without a court order?
No.
All right. That would be a violation of which amendment? Do you know?
No.
What do you do if somebody says they want to talk to a lawyer and you have them in handcuffs?
allow them to call a lawyer.
Do
when
you keep asking them questions?
It depends on the case.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Tell me the case in which you would continue to ask questions of somebody in custody after they ask for a lawyer.
If we're doing an investigation, we're going to ask.
I got you. Okay. Do you know which amendment it is that allows people to demand a lawyer? Do you have any idea?
No.
Have you ever read anybody the Miranda rights?
No.
You've never read anybody their Miranda rights?
No.
Have you ever arrested anybody?
No.
Other than Ms. Bergquist?
No.
And you don't know the Miranda rights?
Not offhand, no.
All right. When you arrest somebody, do you have to advise them that they have the right to remain silent?
Yes.
Do you have to advise them that they have the right to an attorney?
Yes.
Do you have to advise them that if they cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided to them?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what if somebody says, yes, I want to talk to an attorney? Do you get to keep asking them questions? Or do you have to call a lawyer for them before you want to ask any more questions?
I don't know.
You don't know? You don't know if you're allowed to keep asking questions of somebody in custody after they ask for a lawyer?
No.
How long have you been employed at Cook County Sheriff's?
27 years.
27 years. I imagine you only became a lieutenant recently?
No.
How long ago did you become a lieutenant?
22 years ago?
You've been a lieutenant for 22 years and you don't know the Miranda rights?
Yeah.
Lieutenant Malasso's admission of not knowing someone's Miranda rights after 27 years in law enforcement raises concerns, and Sergeant Larson's lack of legal understanding, despite acknowledging no grounds for Bergquist's 2018 arrest, is troubling. The 2021 District Court ruling favoring Cook County, based on the notion of suspicious activity, seemingly limited further legal action by Amanda Bergquist against the county. The case got settled for $15,000 in 2022. Although it was just a fraction of Bergquist's legal costs, it left the same officers with the authority to potentially violate others' First Amendment rights at their discretion, underscoring the need for ongoing scrutiny of such cases. The legal doctrine of qualified immunity shields government officials from facing consequences for violating constitutional rights unless they have breached clearly established law. However, this protection creates a loop. Due to qualified immunity shielding officers from challenges, there are no clear cases to cite. This effectively grants police a free hand to engage in actions like shooting, arresting, detaining, and other forms of state violence without adequate oversight. Do you think it's fair?